time back with Mental Health Chats. And today we've got the lovely Danielle Cassidy with us. Hello, Danielle. How are you?
Hello, Claire. I'm good. How are you?
I'm very, very well, thank you. And what we're going to be talking about today is how setting expectations and boundaries can really help to motivate a team. So, first of all, Danielle, whereabouts are you based?
So I'm in Kent, so
Wow.
down southeast, yeah, in the old Garden of England. So yeah,
Eh,
Gillingham to be more specific.
Gillian, lovely.
Yeah.
And just tell everybody about your experience and what you do.
So I've been in recruitment for 25, nearly 26 years now, predominantly in the temporary sector, anything from industrial, so fresh produce, engineering, driving, through to events and commercials, office, that sort of thing. So we do a range, but that's where our sort of specialism lays.
Excellent. So you've seen a lot of different businesses and a lot of leadership teams and the way
Yeah.
they actually motivate their teams, which is brilliant. So that's
Yes.
why I've asked you here today. So I just want to ask you, first of all, because the topic is about setting expectations and boundaries. So what
Mhm.
do clear expectations and boundaries look like
Okay.
when set by a leadership team so that their team can be a lot more efficient?
So I think what do they look like? It's a tricky one because they look different wherever you are, whatever company, the size, the culture, it's different. But I think for me, the main thing is clarity and honesty. I think if you want people to buy in to you, to your leadership, to the company goal, to the short-term goal, to the long-term goal, whatever that is, you need to be on the same page.
Yeah.
And we all come to work for a purpose. We've got to earn our wages to live and everything like that. That's the basic why we do it. But I think honesty and clarity of getting people to buy in, and you need that because you can't just set expectations and boundaries. Boundaries, people like to push boundaries, people like to push them as far as they possibly can.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that in order to achieve those, you do have to have this common understanding, this common goal of what your minimum expectations are, but why? Why they're there. That
Right.
it's not just I
Yeah.
expect you to do X, Y, and Z. There is a reason behind it. And if you do X, Y, and Z, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to get there.
Mm.
But these are the minimums, and you want to be going above the minimums. As I say, I just feel that there needs to be that honesty, that clarity, that buy-in.
Yeah.
So people actually have a buy-in when they come to work. It's not just about, oh, I've got to do, I don't know, whatever you know,
Yeah.
100 calls a day. I know we don't really do that anymore, but I've got to do 100 calls a day. Well, why? Why do you need to be doing 100 calls? Because that
Mm.
then relates to that, which then relates to that, and then look how amazing that is. And then,
Mm.
I think that's on a really basic level with targets, etc.
Mm.
But yeah, for me, it's about that communication piece, that buy-in, whether that be about behaviors or metrics or
Mm.
what your goals are, sort of kind of all being on the same
Mm.
page.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
Boundaries are
brilliant.
a bit different. I think boundaries are there to be pushed, so they need to be a bit more flexible.
Yeah.
But with expectations, I think that's my sort of stance on things.
Yeah. Excellent. Good. And you work in recruitment, so you would know about the RSC, the Recruitment Employment Confederation.
Yeah, know them
And
well.
what they've found is that it can cost up to 2.5 times someone's salary to actually
Crazy.
replace them, which is huge.
Mm.
So, how can leaders make sure they're setting expectations and boundaries in a way so they retain their teams?
Again, I don't want to repeat myself, but I do think it is about that whole communication
Yeah.
piece. Look, we have people leave. We have people come and we have people go, like all companies do. But I'll be honest, I don't think there have been people, but hand on heart over the years, the amount of people that have left with a bad taste in their mouth or we've never spoken again
Yeah.
is very, very far and few between. And I
Mm.
think that is because of the culture that we have to here, that we understand that replacing somebody is really, really costly
Yeah.
for a business. You've got all those sort of knock-on effects, but
Mm.
not only that, if you have, and this goes back to the minimum expectations and boundaries, if you have a bad egg, for want of a better word, in your team that then disrupts the whole of the rest of your team, you might keep that one bad egg who might be a great biller, who, you know, might do wonderful things for your revenue. But if they're a bad egg within your team and you then suddenly have to constantly be replacing the apprentices or the people that work within that team, that's going to cost you a ridiculous amount. So we have quite a clear culture here that we don't, and I know everywhere says they don't accept bullying and things like that, but there needs to be a clear understanding of what's okay. You know, we live in a world at the moment, something I come across a lot, which is very new to me, is banter. I hear sometimes people speaking to each other and I say, oh, really like what that we're just going to laugh. It's just a bit of a banter. And it's you know, those expectations between different generations, I think, are something as a manager that's changed a lot that we've got to get used to. So yeah, it does cost a lot to replace your team, but sometimes replacing one person would be better than replacing, you know, a whole team if they're causing sort of some kind of grief. So I know it's very cheesy, but as I say, I'm massive on communication. I'm massive on being kind. We don't all necessarily like each other. We don't all necessarily gel. We've all got different personalities, but it doesn't take a lot to just be kind, as cheesy as it is, to each other. And it does. You're at work. We laugh and joke and say, oh, you know, a work family. I probably spend more time with these guys than I do with my actual family.
I know what you mean.
You know, so it does affect you if people aren't, don't, you know, aren't kind.
And you say it sounds cheesy to be kind, but actually it's just respecting people for who they are. And
100%.
what I found with the positive intelligence coaching I'm doing with my clients is that people do end up respecting people because they're a lot more self-aware, but they're also aware of other people and the way other people behave. And this is really powerful when setting boundaries, because if we're aware of ourselves when we're setting boundaries and we're aware of the way other people behave, then we're going to communicate a lot more effectively. So what techniques have you seen, Danielle, leaders using to actually open up that communication and have that respect so that people really appreciate the boundaries and adhere to them?
I'll be honest, this has been a real challenge for me this year or the last couple of years. I found this has been a real challenge. So I have probably attended a lot of workshops. I've probably listened to a lot more podcasts and things on this because I have found this a challenge.
And it is challenging. We're dealing with people.
It is. And people are a lot more, I think 15, 20 years ago, you came to work, not saying that you weren't ambitious, but you came to work, you knew you were coming to do a job, to earn your money, to pay your bills. It's very different now. People have different aspirations up on top of those things. So there's a lot of different levels. And I think the words positive intelligence, I think some of that comes just with experience and dealing with people. But to answer your question, I suppose how we deal with it here, a number of different ways, but the easiest, the cheapest, if you haven't got a budget, the most simple and basic way there are hundreds of team activities, of questionnaires, of things that you can do to just try and make people aware. The good old-fashioned, and I know it's really old school, but the good old-fashioned colour personality test, where you know, your team answer all the questions and then it tells them whether they're a blue, whether they're a red, or whether they're a mix of that. We did an activity probably about 6 months ago where we revisited that because we had new team members and we hadn't done it for a while. And what came out of that was how people are very different, but actually what their skills were, although they might not be a lively, loud person, but what their skills were and how you handle somebody that's in that sort of you know, in that category. I suppose it depends how, I don't know if uncomfortable is the right word, but how you want to make your team. We went on an activity, we did a weekend away, and we're very lucky that I get a budget, a huge budget, a budget every year to do one large activity with the team. We went away for a weekend to a country house, and we had loads of different activities planned in. We did a bit of hypnotherapy, which everyone sort of poo-pooed, but ended up absolutely loving it. And some of the girls go now. But one of the biggest things that we did is we did an activity called the bus stop, because I drove a minibus up there, so it was quite
Right.
fitted. And we all just sort of sat in rows opposite each other, and then you worked round, and we timed it. It was only 30 seconds, but you had to give 30 seconds of pure compliments to the person sitting opposite
Oh,
you. And
wow.
it was at a time where there were a few conflicts within the team, so it made people a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But afterwards, after everyone had got over that sort of fear, it really, people came away and said, "Do you know what? Even me, because I got some compliments from it that I don't really get that, because I'm not in
Yeah.
amongst that side all the
Yeah.
time." Yeah, it made you come away feeling positive about yourself.
Good.
Because I do think that we focus on negatives, especially with expectations and
Well,
boundaries.
humans
We,
do. We go into that negative brain.
yeah, yeah, and we focus and we pull up when people don't hit those
Yeah.
expectations and those boundaries, but complimenting, rewarding, and
Yeah.
when you do go above as well, not just hit them, but go
Yeah.
above, can quite easily get forgotten, especially I think in the recruitment industry when it's busy and it's fast paced,
And it's
it gets
target
stressful.
driven. It's really,
Yeah,
really tough. Definitely.
yeah,
And
definitely.
you saying we focus on negatives, that's why I love the positive intelligence coaching, because what the coaching looks at is how your judges other people, judges yourself,
Yeah,
and judges circumstances, but also what your saboteurs are. So what's holding you back and what negatives you're focusing on. So it's actually retraining your brain to get into that positive brain, which is so, so powerful in the workplace. And that's what I love about the work, because if you're setting boundaries, people will look at it as a positive instead of
yeah,
a negative. So why are we setting their boundaries? We'll look at, well, what are my saboteurs holding me back from achieving those boundaries? Why are
yeah.
they holding me back? And how can I break through those saboteurs? And that's why the coaching of it's so powerful, because it's transformational, really
Interesting.
transformational.
And I think in this day and age right now, it is so, so important. It's so
Yeah.
important. As I say, I've been in recruitment for 25 years, and obviously the market's changed, but
Oh,
people have changed. The way, the way that an organization, the culture, everything has changed so
yeah.
much. And, we do the best that we can, but yeah, it's very challenging, especially with so much focus now on positive intelligence, positive mindset,
Yeah.
mental awareness. That wasn't really anything that came up
No.
20 years ago. And
Yeah.
it's really refreshing, but there's so much to learn and so much to
There is.
understand and make sure that we're doing everything that we can to
Yeah.
build that positive workplace for people, because, we all work better and we're more productive when we're happy. So
Oh, we are so
win-win.
much more productive when we're happy. We perform better. And when we're more positive, we perform so much better.
Yeah.
And we've got better relationships, which is absolutely key. So, Danielle, you have given us so many valuable
Right.
insights. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. So, it would be fantastic. There's probably a lot of people out there who would love to get in touch with you. So, where can people find you?
Probably the best thing is on LinkedIn, if I'm honest.
Brilliant.
Search Danielle Cassidy. The company I'm at is MC Personnel. Yeah, I'm always sort of knocking about on LinkedIn and waffling on about something or other. So
Brilliant.
yeah, get me there.
Not waffling, you're giving very, very valuable insights. So,
Yes, yeah.
thank you very much and
No,
take
thank you.
care.
Yeah, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.